But when they start whining about small business and this latest bill is going to ruin small business, they're not talking about us. They're not talking about Shannon. They're talking about those businesses that are 500 plus employees. That's a small business that they're whining about, not the real human micro business. We don't even exist. We're 70% of the economy. Right. So, there's a lot of people say, well, go out there and get the politicians to pay attention. Get them to go do something.
70% of the economy, and we go under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
That's encouraging.
Well, right now they're saying that, I don't know if you've noticed during the recession that it's car sales we're following and houses. And a ridiculous housing situation that we've known about for 20 years. And we're still shocked that the prices are coming down on our houses. And that is what is the reflection of our economy. That is not the reflection of our economy. Our GNP being based on how many cars we buy, how much stuff we purchase. It's all about being a consumer, and I'm as a consumer as anybody else. But that is not what sustains us, how much I can go out and buy of other people's stuff or other things from other parts of the world and other places in the world. And the latest thing, in the paper today was IT, that our IT is now being farmed out cheaper. And so all of those IT people who, many of them live in this neighborhood, who don't have jobs anymore, are not seeing jobs coming down the pike. And so how can you change those skills of doing IT work into something that's sustainable? Used to be, and that's part of the bigger sustainability series and discussion, is it used to be that we would learn a variety of skills. It's fabulous that you learn IT, that's great, but do you know how to fix your own plumbing? Do you know how to start a fire? Do you even have a house that can have a fire? Every cold winter, I'm looking around my parents' house, we have 2 fake fireplaces. And I'm thinking, what would happen, and aren't we lucky here in Colorado that we don't have those rolling blackouts that last for 2-3 weeks? We have nothing. And the last thing we really want is everybody to go to fire and take down all the wood, and then pretty soon we have no wood. We won't even go into that. But, we have a lot of sustainability challenges. And food is a really big one. So let me introduce you to what I do. I started Feed Denver Urban Farms and Markets, and what we do is we are a nonprofit, and we are creating a regional training center to explore, model, and teach growing food in the city in a business way. We are not community gardens. We are not backyard gardens. We're not gardens at all. We are farms. We produce for profit. So we're a nonprofit because we're educating people, but our farms are being developed in a sustainable manner so that they can support a small family, a couple of families. Oh, look, I got email. So what we are doing is creating model farms so that in this phase of Feed Denver, the nonprofit, we can explore and do the research into what can be grown, how much can be grown, and can this be a viable business? And of course, our thesis is that it can and it will be, and that's what we're moving towards. So we're exploring many different styles and techniques from all over the world. Our number one interests are low tech and high intensity growth, but not Viagra growth, not Miracle Grow. How to grow in a natural way using things that came with the earth, soil, worms. Yeah, and to recreate an environment and an ecosystem that can feed us.
Have you
That's right.
Have you looked into probably what was done back in the past, like, for me, how we think about the Incas and like
Absolutely.
which is a lot of Native Americans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are you looking into those kinds of things
Yeah.
that might have been forgotten or?
Yeah, and that's part of why we want to have a training center. We want to bring that information together. We want to use it. We want to see what works in Colorado. Our main mentor is in Milwaukee. They're in, the Midwest. They have water out there. Imagine, they have too much water. Growing out here is very different. We have sun. We have too much sun, they would say. So, we're going to have to find our way there. But none of it is new. None of it at all. But we have new technologies and we have new ways of looking at things. So maybe we can improve upon it. So what we're doing, our mission is to teach this. So we put model farms into communities. We work with the community to develop the model farm. We work with the community to develop the farmers in the area. We work with the youth in the area, and we develop a working farm. And our long-term goal is when these farms turn sustainable, and we hope that's at 3 to 5 years, that we can sell that back to those community members, and it is now their small business. And there's no reason these shouldn't be employing 10 to 20 people each. So getting them in the neighborhood, getting them operated, and getting people to embrace them themselves. We are working on microloan situations where they actually just begin paying us back rather than having to get a loan to own the farm that has been developed with their help in the neighborhood. They just can pay back, feed Denver into our microloan revolving fund, and we can open more. So that's one way we're using community money and grants from foundations to further the growth of this. Our goal isn't to have 100 Feed Denver farms, it's to start one at a time and leave them. We plant farms. So, our first project is at the Urban Farm at Stapleton, and it's a great project because it allows us to explore the key areas of growing food anywhere, and especially growing in the city. The number one thing we have to do is create soil, and so we have a large-scale compost program, and we're creating our own topsoil. Rather than being worried about the state of the soil under our feet, we decide to bring in our own soil. So we bring in our own fresh soil. We know that it's nutritious. We bring our own worms, and that's what we grow our food in. We grow year-round, so we build growing structures. This is a picture of a hoop house going in and people building it. A hoop house is just a very inexpensive pipe structure with plastic over it, and it makes a greenhouse. And that way we can grow year-round. There's more pictures of it being used for growing. In that greenhouse, we have an aquaponic system. So we're growing tilapia, and the tilapia are feeding our watercress, and the watercress is cleaning out the water so that when it goes back to the tilapia, it's healthy water again. So it's basically a closed river system that we have in there. And we have about 300 fish in this one 4x8 structure.
How big will they grow?
About a pound, pound and a half. We'll sell them a pound and a half. And they should be, it takes them about, this is the size they were when we got them about 2 months ago, and they will be ready probably to harvest in March. We have started what we call the New American Project, and that is a partnership with the Ecumenical Refugee Services, where we are taking teams of refugees and giving them 3-month work experience while they're learning English, so that many refugees come to America from farming situations, from a farming background, and they're dropped into a city and they're told to find a job. I mean, what can you do as a farmer? And so when we met with the refugee services, they were just over the moon that we actually had farming jobs, and that they can come in and they can teach us and we can teach them what we're learning, and we can develop these projects with them. And the thing is, this is the first wave of the future managers of the farms. Every school wants its own farm. Every institution, like nursing homes and churches and hospitals, they all want their own farms. Well, who are going to be the farmers? Right now the schools are struggling with that. Everyone's expecting a teacher to step up and volunteer to be the farmer all summer long. We don't pay our teachers anyway. On top of it, we're asking them to be a full-time farmer of actually quite a large operation. So our, next couple of stages, we hope to be presenting our experienced farmers to the schools, and they can be hired just like you would hire a landscaper. Give them an appropriate wage, and they have a job. And especially those who can work with children. So these folks are really excited and having a good time, and they're from Bhutan.